Jacob here from That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga, our heated adventures overanalyzing manga we find interesting, otherwise known as the Over Manga Cast. This week we read Mob Psycho 100, written by One Punch Man author 1. We covered chapters 1 through 19 up to the Black Vinegar school arc. Sorry, I gotta take this. It looks like my shady mentor needs me to exercise another evil spirit for him. Look, I gotta go, but you can just hang out here in the club room and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and as always here at the top of the show, we talk about what our familiarity with the franchise that we read this week is. I actually have something to say about this one. Shock, amazement. I have, in fact, experienced some of Mob Psycho 100. I watched the entirety of Season 1. I believe Season 2 was premiering at the time, so I caught up with it, and then I'm really bad at following things as they come out, so I kind of lost the line on the actual anime. But that was about the extent of everything. I hadn't read the manga, the original source, so I was quite pleased to do this episode. Jacob, how about you?
Unlike Sam, I have the usual thing. I have heard about this. I will say this isn't one of the things that I've been ultra jazzed about checking out. I know that Sam is a big fan of it, and we tend to have very, very similar tastes, so I was more than happy to hop in on this one, but really it's just a matter of I've heard it. It's been somewhere on the list. Podcast forced me to do thing I want. So standard for me.
Indeedly do. And Matt.
I have read One Punch Man.
Well, that at least has you familiar with the creator, because this is also by our good friend One, maker of the One Punch Man, the single slap Sam.
Also creator of Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah!
Sensing a pattern here. There is that element of, like, you know, I have seen some of the original version of One Punch Man, not the one in Shonen Jump, but like the original version of it. But even leaving the art aside, just from the writing style, One has a very, very distinct voice when it comes to the way he writes. It's very recognizable that these are from the same, that those two series are from the same author.
Yeah. Even without the similarities in art style, as we are reintroduced to One's signature cartoony style. And a quick explanation to get us into the vibe of things here. We are not superheroes fighting monsters. No, these are the spirit mediums, psychics, dealing with the unexplained things of the world. And our hero... at the very least, the first guy we see, Arataka Reigen, the self-styled psychic who will be undertaking a job from a client.
The completely real spirit medium.
Yes, he is totally legit. You can tell by his business suit that he is 1,000% a psychic man who does psychic business.
I mean, he does do psychic business, so...
So at least one part of that statement is objectively true. Don't ask about the rest of it.
Reigen is very quickly characterized in his introduction as he is offering a payment plan for his exorcism services, the various levels of which offer percentages of guaranteed spirit reduction. And the most expensive, a 99% guaranteed reduction in spirits.
So wait, even the most expensive plan doesn't get rid of the spirits entirely?
Well, would you trust 100% guarantee? Come on, you can't get rid of all spirits. That's insane.
Well, yes, it's actually to get you marks to keep coming back. I mean, ghosts are kind of like emissions. You can't fully get rid of them, but you can get rid of most of them. He is explaining this to a woman who is experiencing some sort of supernatural trouble, though her boyfriend is skeptical about this.
Yeah, she's been having terrifying recurring I guess lucid nightmares?
I guess. It's not really explained, but this all started after she saw a ghost in an abandoned building, and she hopes that by having the mighty psychic Reigen exercising that ghost, it will stop her nightmares.
There's a lot of the signature one style of humor. It's one of those ones where it's like it is so blunt. It's the style of humor that it's like it's like beating the joke with a brick to comedic effect. That One Punch Man does a lot.
But it works great.
It's a tried and true style. Actually, in a lot of ways, it's kind of similar to his art in the sense where, like, talk about it. It's not strictly speaking, good art, so to say, but it has an intentionality to it. And it's like, yeah, to some extent, doing art that sort of like intentionally looks a little bit amateurish is an easier way to do it, but it's clearly done with intent. Like, that's sort of what I mean about how one has a bit of a signature style. There's an element, intentional extreme directness, that it's like, yes, this is a shortcut. I don't care. It's working, isn't it? And then you just kind of have to sit there and say, yeah, it is. So I guess I'm along for the ride then.
You know what, One Sensei? It sure is.
It's very gag manga.
Right up to Reigen pointing at a very obviously creepy building and saying, I feel the powerful, wicked presence. No, it was actually that building across the street. Aha! This area is so cursed that there is evil presences all around, and I could not pinpoint the one you were talking about. See? An evil spirit just walked by. The ass chin boogeyman. That's just a guy with a cleft chin. What are you, 8?
That's also a bit of a recurring thing relative to One Punch Man.
Yeah, a lot of people with butt chins in the One extended universe.
Yeah, One has a well from which he is not ashamed to draw. And again, like, there's sort of an intentional blunt and directness to it. Yes, this is a shortcut to a cheap joke. I don't care. You're still laughing. That means I win.
One of the things I really like about this is how the art will just turn on a dime from kind of rough and sketchy to a more highly rendered style, and it's like from panel to panel. Like, they get into the actual spooky building, and the shot of the spooky abandoned hallway is legitimately well rendered and unsettling. And then there's Reigen, being a sketch, and then Reigen zoom in, sweating. I sense a terrible wickedness in this place. It's got cockroaches. You're not sensing a ghost at all, are you?
The spooky ghost is someone who saw a cockroach, leapt into the ceiling, and I guess embedded his head in the ceiling or something.
Yes, because there is an actual ghost. Like, through all of this scam psychic nonsense, there's actually a ghost here. You would think that would have more impact, but...
Most of Reigen's scams are actually ghost in the end, so it is kind of weird.
Yeah. The evil spirit ceiling crasher, which gives people nightmares of hitting their head. He headbutts them in their dreams.
I can fix your girlfriend's ugly face. What? Her face was always like that. Oh.
Well, Reigen tries his signature move, the salt splash, where he throws some table salt, but it's not purified salt, so it doesn't work. Well, time to call in the big guns. Hey, mob, I need you over here to deal with an evil spirit. And now we are introduced to our actual protagonist, Shigeo Kageyama, also known as Mob. He is a completely bland middle schooler, just a part of the mob, hence the name, except he's also a gag manga tier power level character of just being a hideously, frighteningly powerful esper. But of course, Reigen cannot deal with the ghost because it is simply too weak for him to even sense it. So, hey, Mob, you come over here and deal with it, okay? All right.
To which he immediately vaporizes the thing because that's the joke. As similar as Mob Psycho 100 and One Punch Man art, because it's kind of hard not to make comparisons, because they do have a lot of really directly shared DNA. One of the big things is the way that the superpowered protagonist is treated within the internal structure of the narrative is very different, because honestly, Mob's kind of like, when it comes to the supernatural stuff, he's either scared of himself or bored. And that's not the reaction that Saitama has.
Well, the major difference is that, one of the major differences is that Saitama is unrecognized despite being incredibly powerful. Meanwhile, in Mob Psycho, everyone is saying, wow, Mob, you're so cool. You have such amazing powers. You could become like a god or something. And he's like, yeah, no, that sounds really lame and also kind of rude. I'm not going to do that. But power. But I don't want power. Will power get me muscles?
Well, the muscles are also a mean. The muscles are also a mean to an end. Will power get me the girl I like, which I already know the answer to?
Indeed. That is the current state of Mob's life, as he is an 8th grader dealing with the various issues of youth, including having a pretty girl that he likes. No one else even appears in his vision when Tsubomi is around, as specified by the fact that the other girls all have vegetables for heads in Mob's eyes.
Yeah, I think Mob does not even remember any of their names because there is another girl in his class who gets brought up later who he repeatedly refuses to acknowledge she has a name. Like he is got blinders on.
He does indeed.
It's one of those cases where it's like maybe Mob isn't the nicest person in the world. He's a middle schooler. He's an accurately written middle schooler.
Yeah, I was about to say
he's an 8th grade boy. Like,
yeah, I was about to say they really build up like, yes, the perfect time in a child's life, the springtime of their youth, middle school, and I'm like, that's the best your life is gonna be is middle school. Oh,
well, that is sort of like the thing in Japan. Usually, the reason why everything in Japanese media is set in high school is because high school you're adult enough to do some adult things, but aren't like locked down into either college or job yet. There's still always like in high school you have to prep for the next exam to get into the college. This is actually kind of lampooning that element of Japanese culture where it's like middle school's the best years of your life. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
The smiling is real, right?
Not. That comes up later. About how a fake smile will not bring you happiness, but we have a few more of the shenanigans of Reigen and his spirit exorcism business, as he does the worst cold reading job imaginable on a lottery winner.
It really do, P.
So my shoulders are stiff. I think I'm possessed. So you made someone angry and they cursed you. No, I don't really get into fights with people. So you're deadbeat and penniless. No, I won the lottery. I sent my girlfriend on an expensive trip. She's having a great time.
Someone must have hated you on the streets and cursed you in a drive-by cursing. I never leave my house. I've actually only ever come here.
I'm beginning to think this curse stuff isn't real and you're just trying to scam me. Maybe I just have stiff shoulders because of my posture or something. That's ridiculous! Wait, because of your posture? Yeah, I mean, most of my days just spent surfing the internet and looking at porn. Aha!
It was a pop-up curse. Which, I mean, pop-ups are a curse, but that's...
This is one of my favorite jokes in the entire reading that we did. It's like touching an accursed treasure. You click on a dirty thumbnail, and it opens 1, 2, a dozen pop-ups, and they escape like Pandora's box. Well, the model's name wasn't Pandora. It was... That killed me. I did not remember that particular gag from the anime.
The bit that we get next is basically it's the standard pattern for Reigen's bits where he will ascribe a spiritual element to a completely mundane problem, then fix the mundane problem and claim he did spirit stuff, because he just gives the guy a shoulder massage. Hey, if you get cursed again, just come back and pay me more money.
Look, I'm just saying, people keep coming to the hammer store to solve their problems, and they keep getting solved with hammers. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
you know, the loop going forward. Reigen does this. Mob helps him, gets paid a pittance. He gets paid like 200 yen a day or something.
It's $3 an hour.
It's a embarrassingly low amount of money, even for a middle schooler at a part-time job.
As stated by multiple different people.
Yeah. It's amazing how sympathetic and likable and like kind of wholesome a character Reigen ends up becoming, because he is just an absolute scumbag.
I'm going to have a thing for that because I'm not going to lie. In a lot of ways, I didn't feel like Reigen fit the story up to this point. He seemed kind of like he was just, and I mean, like, it's a gag manga. It doesn't need to be particularly concerned with pacing, but like, he felt kind of one note. But later on, we're going to get to a bit that just makes him such a real character and is such a a brilliant masterstroke of characterization on one's part. But for right now, we're a bit more concerned with Mob's issues because he has no ambition.
My favorite part is Mob has zero ambition, but he's like, I probably shouldn't I? I feel like I could be doing something more with my life. I'm just not really.
Why am I working a part-time job if I have no real need for money?
Reigen, desperate not to lose his actually effective trump card when he actually runs into a ghost. Oh, look about it. You don't need to stress out about this. These other people, they just waste their time. No club kids are the best. You're getting a head start on life in a sense, in a manner of speaking. Don't be a joiner. This is the time in your life when you're most free. Stay smart and stay slack. It's like, okay, Reigen, whatever you say, boss.
Stay smart and stay slack by continuing to work a part-time job under me.
But this is when we're introduced to
the Telepathy Club.
The Telepathy Club. And, you know, we learned that Mob is a psychic. He has telekinetic powers. He can see and exorcise ghosts. It's like, oh, okay, so the Telepathy Club. Obviously, Mob will be associated with them in some way. And, oh, why? Look at this. Drama. Shock. They are short at one member and are now, their roster is too small to be considered a club. They're going to be disbanded by the mean old student council.
We see one of their 5 members quit, and it's 5 members minimum to be an official club with an official club budget.
I'm getting weird looks by being a part of your club. I'm just gonna leave.
They spend like an entire chapter on this setup too. Like, look at all these characters that have deep interpersonal dealings with each other.
Are you invested? Become invested, dear reader. You care about their troubles. But my favorite part of this is there's like, kind of similar with Reigen, it's like there's an underlying layer of like kind of scumminess to it, because yes, the Telepathy Club, their leader really cares about expanding the human mind in order to become telepathically sensitive and communicate with aliens even. She really believes in this, and that's why she formed this club. And what are you actually doing here? I never got an activity report. Well, we haven't done anything, so there's nothing to report.
That was the worst possible response you could have given me.
By the way, how's that 2,000 yens club budget going? Is that what all those snacks are on the table? You're just using this to buy snacks and hang out in a club room after school, aren't you? No. It's done from the protagonist perspective of the Telepathy Club, so we as the readers are naturally inclined to sympathize with them to an extent, but they are just being a bunch of freeloaders.
Yeah, it's framed to basically lampoon this plot in other stories when they don't consider carefully the actual nature of this arrangement.
Like, this entire thing is like a trope in and of itself of, yes, the weird club on campus needs one new member or else they're going to be disbanded. Like, that is...
Yeah.
You see as the opening episode for so many things, and that's the entire point. You're supposed to be like, oh, yep, well, I guess Psychic Kid's gonna join the weird psychic club. And then they do recruit him. They're like, Mob, you gotta save our club. And he's like, I do have to save the old music hall. Come on, let's put one last show on together, guys. Wait, no, that's a different one.
I'm pretty sure this exact plot hook was done in a different form in episode 1 or in chapter 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen. So there you go.
Well, Jujutsu Kaisen, they were closing down because they only had 3 members.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, that's sort of the thing, though, is that like that's that played straight, you know, and then this is That's not how it usually works. Usually it's just a bunch of idiots who deserve to get shut down because we also learned that they've had other defunct clubs before.
Yeah, I was about to say, in Jujutsu Kaisen, it's also not played straight. It's used as setup for the main plot.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like played straight would be like Haruhi Suzumiya
Oh, okay, yeah, fair point.
or Kaon, or like one of those like, oh man, guys, we need one more normal student to join our weird girl club. It's also not normally a girl club, but it's normally used as an excuse for like that whole genre of cute girls doing cute things.
Yeah.
And we need to get the male character in there to serve as perspective for the male audience, so we can try and grab some of them for this. But that is not what is going on in Mob Psycho. I love how they're like, come on, just join our club. I don't know. I gotta call my boss about this. You have a boss? What? Wait, you have a job? Oh yeah, I get paid 200 yen like a day. You're getting ripped off, dude. Anyway, Master Reigen, is it okay if I'm a little late?
I love this call with Reagan because it's essentially, yeah, I mean, Mob, do whatever you want, buddy. That's cool. I mean, oh, okay. Are you sure you wouldn't be left out in the lurch? I'm like, Mob, do you not want to help these people out? Not really. Then just don't help them out. Could you give me an excuse? Yeah, sure. You need to be here. Don't do this.
Yeah.
I love how they just say it out loud.
Yeah. Think about it. Like, what's in it for you? If the only reason you're agreeing to this is because you have nothing else to do, that's not a good reason. They're even admitting they have no reason to be here.
And then, whilst this is all going on, we get some crocodile tears that immediately get called out on Telepathy Club leader. The new club that wants to use the space instead also arrives.
They show up in like the last 2 pages, and it's hilarious. This was the new club I was telling you about that needs a space. Hey, we're the Body Improvement Club, and we're all about getting buff and improving ourselves. And then Mob's like,
huge muscle dudes. I love them.
Mob's just like, improving yourselves?
They have like heavily shadowed faces and have the JoJo's go 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 behind them. This is lampooning that very specific. Here's the evil, the jerk popular kids who don't need the weird club to fit in.
Here's the evil other club that just wants resources given out by the school to be fairly distributed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's the entire punchline, is that these guys are framed negatively, but like, no, they're just an actual real club.
So, Mop, what's your decision? I'm going to join the Body Improvement Club. What do you mean? The girl I like is into muscle dudes more than espers. He doesn't say that part out loud, but we get that from a flashback. And frankly, it is the most realistic motivation of an 8th grade kid I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah, that makmakes sense. And to Mob's credit, he does put quite a lot of effort into it. He's not good at it, but hey, he's only just started.
He is trying his best. And the Body Improvement Club does wholeheartedly embrace him as one of their own.
The fun bit is that Mob passes out at one point, and they go back to the club room to drop Mob off, and the former Telepathy Club is there, and they're talking about how, yeah, in the end, we can still stay here because they only needed a place to put their weights. So we didn't really need to go through all that rigmarole in the first place. How about that?
We just don't have a budget anymore, but we can still chill.
I mean, I think most of them just wanted the air conditioning more than anything else.
Poor Mob is having a rough go of it, getting started on the path to fitness, as he is heading home. Perhaps more importantly for the current state of his self-esteem is the chief of the ex-telepathy club asks why he settled on the Body Improvement Club, and he's like, well, I was kind of hoping to get a little more buff and become attractive. Even if you did, you wouldn't be attractive. You just not a very attractive person, Mob. Oh, okay. Poor kid.
Really goes to show you the kind of people that in a lot of other manga would have been the primary supporting cast.
Hey, in all fairness, sometimes people just need to be told they're not attractive.
Poor Mob is making his way home after this situation and is, hey kid, you want to join my cult?
Well, I guess.
I suppose I don't have anywhere else to be currently. I will check out your cult.
Because when a weird person in a smiling theater mask comes up and says, hey, you look troubled. Do you want to come with me and learn how to smile? I'm like,
Stranger danger.
You know, I think I would follow him. Sounds interesting.
Well, that's kind of what Mob comes. Well, Mob doesn't want to go with them because they're interesting. He wants to go with them because the person in the cult mask says that if you come with me, we'll solve all your problems, including making you more attractive.
Ooh.
We actually get another cold read scene, which this is actually a really subtle element of story because the thing that it does is it illustrates that things like cults and things like the kind of fake psychic that Reigen is basically use the exact same tactics. Like the cult inductee that's trying to get Mob is basically doing exactly what Reigen has done to most of his clients.
Yep, doing a cold read on Mob. It's like, well, the only thing I have left to ask about is your love life. That is what I'm troubled about. How did you know? Well, if you come with me, you can find out. I'll go.
Particularly the how did you know? Like, a little bit mocks Mob for falling for it, but that's the sort of thing that those types of charlatans do. They look for what you want to hear and then they say it until you do what they want.
Just like you, dear audience member. You're so smart for listening to us, aren't you?
Absolutely. Really very smart and attractive people listen to the Over Manga Cast. And since you are listening to the Over Manga Cast, you must be smart and attractive.
I saw a really ugly person on the street one time. Was not listening to our podcast. Coincidence? Probably not.
Definitely not a coincidence.
There's no coincidences, only fate.
Am I in a cult?
No, Jacob. Now put the robe back on.
Jacob, what did we tell you about questioning us? What did we fucking tell you about questioning us?
All right. Let's get back to this manga that has nothing to do with the current situation that we're all in.
Of course not. Now, as you will all see, Mob is taken to the basement. There's nothing fishy about LOL. Oh yes, the name of this cult is LOL. LOL.
Well, it's because it's a cult of laughing. It makes perfect sense.
I thought it was about League of Legends.
No, then
laughing.
they wouldn't be laughing.
There's nothing fishy about League of Legends.
There is no joy associated with League of Legends. It's definitely not that lol.
They have two other marks, new recruits here.
Early middle-aged guy, down on his luck, grumpy, and we will fix your problems with a smile. Here, have this perfectly normal smiley mask. It will make you happy.
Kind of look like Cancer Dad from Platinum End. I really wish I remembered that character's name because I feel a little bad referring to him as Cancer Dad. But
we did refer to him entirely as Cancer Dad for that entire episode, so
yeah, it started with an M. That's all I know.
Mancer Dad?
God damn it. Anyway, this guy, the smile mask goes on, and when he is able to get it off of him, he finds that he is reflexively smiling and giggling at everything anyone says, whether it's funny or not. They also place a mask over Mob's head, but the third sucker, recruit, turns out came there on her own. It is one of Mob's classmates with the school paper who went to a basement of an abandoned warehouse of a place that she suspected was cult.
Look.
Good decision-making, friend. Okay.
If you want to get a scoop, you got to be willing to go through the dirt, you know?
Look, Misato is an intrepid reporter. She's not necessarily a wise one.
I love how when she shouts out, I'm going to expose your cult in the expose, the cult leader comes down and is like, look at you, thinking you're a real reporter? You came in here with an agenda. And I'm like, oh God, no, not this.
You should have been objective instead of coming in here with your biased agenda to destroy us. Checkmate, woke media.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, that kind of is his perspective, yeah. Because the other thing is, it's like, okay, fine, I won't write a story about it. No, that's not being objective either. You should write it about us, but write the truth that we're really a wonderful religion with absolutely nothing creepy going on here. Wear this mask.
It's not enough that you're not talking about us at all. You need to only say positive things about us. That's what true objectivity is.
The entire cult of LOL is with this because they wholeheartedly believe in the mystic powers of Lord Dimple, who is a man with a very, very creepy smile.
And clown cheek face paint. A completely normal individual. It's fine. Nothing weird is going on.
Given this setting, he might very well be a completely normal individual. I don't know.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. We get a in the perspective of Misato's head as the mask is forced onto her, that she is being compelled to smile, that something in the mask is hypnotizing her to agree with everything that Lord Dimple says. And oh no, who can possibly save? Guys, I'm not smiling. Everyone looks over at Mob, who still has the mask. He takes it off. Same exact, completely
bland expression
that he always has all the time. It didn't work. Can I leave now?
Well, we have to make you laugh by any means necessary. Here, you have to do this staring contest where you'll hold milk in your mouth, and whoever laughs and spits the milk first loses. Mob liked milk, so he agreed to this, which is my favorite reason for why he engaged in the contest. He didn't have to do this. He just likes milk.
You don't get to drink the milk, though. That's the...
Yes, because this entire universe and story is the height of logic.
But all of the top executives of LOL are so used to laughing at everything because of the nature of the cult that they immediately break down at the sight of Mob's face, which, to be fair, it is a rather amusing expression. Their various schemes are completely ineffective. So Dimple decides that violence is the only answer. You will now all have to hold down Mob in order to, so that we can kill him, because we cannot allow a non-believer to leave this place. Kill the non-believer.
Well, he also challenges him to the milk contest, and sabotages Mob by doing something to the milk, and then at the end of the chapter, it's revealed that he instead used disgusting milk. And that was my favorite after the fact joke.
Oh yeah, he used like sour milk so that Mob would spit it out on reflex.
The carton just says disgusting milk. It's not sour at all.
Yeah, the carton just says disgusting milk on it. There is a level of a, like non sequitur-y like humor to well, that didn't work, time for violence. But there have been a lot of cases where Mob, just in not being subject to the brainwashing, is getting other people to realize, wait, why am I smiling? Why am I here? What's going on? So, like, there is actually a reason for the kill the non-believer.
Well, it's also because Mob is using his own psychic powers to shut off the like brainwashing mind waves that Dimple is putting out. And that's why Dimple wants him destroyed. And this is actually where we come to the payoff of something that's been going on in the background of all of these chapters, which is a little counter that's been going up. The progress towards Mob's explosion. It's been rising a percentage, creeping up and up and up. We're not entirely sure what that means, but it's rather easy to think about as this situation becomes increasingly aggravating and dangerous. And Mob is given flashbacks of one of some of the more formative and unpleasant moments of his youth, where his lack of social acumen got him in the bad graces of Tsubomi, the girl he likes. And so he finally ticks over to 100%, because Mob fears his own powers and represses his emotions, so he will not use them. But emotions cannot stay shoved down forever, and when it tips over, Mob activates his full gag manga powers.
All the people who had been pinning him down to, I don't know, I guess they were trying to smother him or something. They are now connected to the ceiling.
I like how in the description of this, Tatsumaki appears for a minute in one of the panels to give you an idea of exactly the power level we're working with. Beautiful two-page spread of everyone being flung up and Mob standing there, all angry.
Yeah, and we see that the 100% explosion was due to rage.
And it is revealed that, oh, hey, look, Dimple is actually a high-level evil spirit.
He hops out of the person he had been possessing.
And Mob can now use full violence without any without any sort of remorse.
And this is actually where we get the scene that made me appreciate Reigen as much as I did. Because up to this point, it felt like it was going to become tiresome cutting to his gags. Like, it hadn't gotten to that point yet, but I was sort of worried about, what the character's, purpose was going to be. And again, it's a gag manga. It doesn't need to, be that concerned about plot and pacing, but it did kind of feel a little out of place. But when Mob goes to Reigen and says, so, hey, I did this thing and I feel bad about it, Reigen just looks him in the face. You didn't hurt anybody. You had to use your powers a little bit on people, but nobody got actually permanently damaged or anything. And you saved them when they were being brainwashed by an evil spirit. You did something only you could have done, and you should be proud of that. And just wow. It sort of recontextualizes a lot of the elements of Reigen as a character, because he's a scam artist. But you know what? He gave the dude a shoulder massage, and it, solved the problem. As much of a jerk as Reigen can be at his worst, there's just this element of connection between, what he said to Mob and the reason why, he wants Mob around because he's cheap labor. That is not untrue. But this idea that he is being a mentor to Mob because Mob was scared of what he had done in his past, which we'll, get to a little bit later. That's so real. He actually genuinely understands and pretty obviously cares about Mob and tells him something that he really needed to hear in that moment. It just makes him such a real character, gives him such life and personality, which to me is honestly, I think, what one does really well. This is a gag manga. It doesn't have to take itself that seriously, but it manages to do that whilst not taking away from the funny. It balances that in such a brilliant way. It's honestly the thing that I think one does best.
Absolutely. And Mob does succeed, of course, in destroying Dimple and freeing the people. He kind of just wanders out afterwards, and everyone is left going, oh, what happened? Oh, my head. Hey, that weird kid. Did he do this? That was basically God, right? That was definitely God.
When people end up in a cult, it's usually because they have, it's not necessarily a sign of, or lack thereof, of intelligence. It's usually a sign of either social, an issue in their social life, or a personality quirk of theirs, which...
It is indicative of bad decision making, though, so...
Yeah. There is some element in this person's life that inclines them towards a certain kind of bad decision, so... There are flyers now of Bowl God, because Mob has a bowl cut.
Or it's psychic helmetism is the...
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, no, the moment with Reigen is great, and it's just a taste of more of what comes up later in the series, and it shows again one's fantastic character writing chops, as he's able to make this scam artist be an actually good teacher of morals
without taking away or diminishing any element of his funny.
Mm-hmm. It's a real do as I say, not as I do sort of relationship they have.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to learn how to make good locks, Wouldn't you want to learn from someone who every single day breaks locks? They would know.
They would know, yeah. But Mob is getting ready to go back about his daily life. He wakes up for school one day, and there is a little ghost floating there saying, "Hey, kid, you really kicked the shit out of me yesterday. Let's be bros now."
Want to become God?
Want to become God. He didn't fully destroy Dimple, but that is about halfway through our reading. We're going to take a quick break here, and we will be back after this for more of these psychic shenanigans. And welcome back to the show, folks. Where last we left our intrepid average dude, Mob had just freed an entire cult from the machinations of an evil spirit through his immense psychic powers, and then he felt kind of bad about ruining the vibe and just wanted to go home, and then he's bothered by the evil spirit that has been knocked down to like essence level 1.
That's something we maybe should have mentioned earlier with the scene with Reigen. One of the things he was concerned about is that he couldn't read the room, and that's something that Mob has had a problem with consistently, which immediately made me think of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, because that is an entire series about that exact phenomenon.
I need to watch/read that. Does it have a manga?
Yes, it does. I have watched the anime, or most of the anime anyway.
Indeed. But comparative analysis, continue, please. Sorry.
The big thing is the elements of this is something that's like very intrinsic to Japanese culture. Transgression is very, very much looked down upon. So people are kind of expected to just sort of like read the mood in the room and not rock the boat. And because Mob just can't really do that, which is, I mean, some people just aren't good at that sort of thing. That's just some people,
Yeah, he lacks that social acumen, which isn't a fatal character flaw. That's just who he is.
Yeah, that's just people sometimes. And I mean, like, different people can have trouble reading different rooms too, but apparently from what I have been told from people talking about particularly Bunny Girl Senpai is a series that is about that specifically, so that's where I've heard a lot of this stuff from. Apparently that is a big social transgression in Japan. You're not supposed to do that. Like, it's not just that he used his powers on humans. It's partly because of that he had such a problem with it. So he's kind of pretty badly affected by the fact that he, ruined everybody's good vibes, even though the good vibes were a result of hypnosis.
The vibes were, in fact, rancid, as Reigen points out.
Look, no one likes a party pooper.
People don't like being mind controlled either.
I think those people made a decision and they can do what they want with their lives. It's kind of weird you're trying to police them.
But what if the party pooper, stopped you from drinking the Kool-Aid?
Those people should be allowed to drink any Kool-Aid they want, Sam. I don't know why you don't believe in individual freedoms.
We're getting off track. Dimple isn't dead. Well, he's dead, but he's not all the way dead.
What, is he?
Yeah, he's a ghost.
But are ghosts dead people in this?
You know what? That is unclear. We have at least one ghost, which is a former alive guy. The other evil spirit, well, Dimple's the only other evil spirit we really encounter, but
yeah, we meet the leader of a biker gang at one point in an interstitial chapter. Dimple the conversation between Mob and Dimple at this point implies that evil spirits are the ghosts of dead people.
But who knows? The important thing is that Mob wakes up, sees Dimple, grabs him by his weird little head squiggly, and starts slamming him against the desk over and over again, like, I had to make sure you were real and that I wasn't dreaming. You're supposed to hit yourself to make sure you're not dreaming!
I think I like Mob's method better.
Dimple is kind of an asshole. Oh, so you're that guy from yesterday, huh? Well, I guess I'll just finish exercising you then. Hey, wait.
Somehow he convinces Mob to call Reigen, and Reigen's like, whatever, do what you want, I don't care.
I can't even see him. He's that weak.
So you're in no danger from allowing him to continue to live. Oh, okay. I love the dynamic because he's like, I promise I'll be good. Really? Really? Okay. Ha! What an easy mark. Now I'll just wait for the right moment and take over his body. We're also here introduced to Mob's younger brother, Ritsu, who
looks older than him. That kind of confused me a little bit.
Yes, no, Mob is the big brother in this dynamic, and they're pretty chill with each other. They're friendly, and that's about all we get from this initial interaction. But we'll learn a bit more later that Ritsu has a great amount of respect and what seems to be a healthy amount of fear about his older brother.
There is also an element of envy that is mutual between the two of them because
Ritsu is a very normal kid, living a very normal kid life, and Mob's like, man, seems kind of nice.
he's popular. He has a social life. Mob is envious of that, whereas Ritsu is discontent with his life, but kind of wishes that he had psychic powers. Almost in a sense that he kind of wishes he had psychic powers as a way of being more connected with Mob. Like, it really does come off that, like, it's not psychic powers specifically, it's that Mob has this thing I can't understand, and that puts a barrier between us. At least that's how I read it.
Yeah, and then Mob's whole thing is just like, but yes, my psychic powers keep me apart from people. And I'm like, well, no, other problems with you are keeping you apart from people. It's kind of weird you're using the psychic powers as a thing here, but okay.
He is an 8th grader.
I've actually only heard people be positive about your psychic powers, so
It kind of feels like if he was more accepting of that element of himself, he might be more popular.
It's almost like being more accepting of the various elements of yourself helps make you a more complete person and therefore able to open up and and socially interact with people more.
Sam, what are you talking about? Clearly, if I'm talented at one thing, people just resent me for it, and I shouldn't make any attempts to get along with them. I need to fuel my persecution complex.
No, see, Matt, what you need to do is you need to really just double down on the thing that you are talented at and use it to attain a god complex.
I mean, don't do that either, I suppose. But also, the opposite of that, of find the thing you're least talented at and double down on that, is also not a great decision.
Yeah, yes. We're going through the spectrum of unhealthy coping mechanisms. I'm glad you noticed.
As to what I was hinting at, there is a character who is in fact very much like that. He is possessed of similar powers and has doubled down on it to the point of attaining a god complex. We're introduced to this man, this young.
Are we get an introduction to him when some of the delinquents from Mob's middle school attack the delinquents from a Black Vinegar middle school, and when the Black Vinegar students start losing, they call in
their big boss.
Boy. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, the big boss, Teruki Hanazawa, also known as Teru, and he kind of just looks like Mob with blonde hair. Actually, he kind of looks like smaller Reigen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that he looks like Reigen. You know, I've mentioned that there's like an intentionality to one's art. The thing is, the art is not the strong point of this manga. There are places where one actually like really shows what he can do, and like the contrast is again done with intention. But let it be known, if you're a big art fan, Psycho 100 maybe isn't for you.
There's an interstitial scene at like the beginning of one of these chapters where I thought it was Reigen was on a date with a woman, but now looking back at it, I think it was Teru. But I couldn't tell because they're both basically the same character.
They're both the same smug blonde asshole.
Well, they're currently both look the same. There will be a distinguishing feature for Teru a little bit later, but we're not quite there yet.
Indeed. We don't actually see Teru beat up the kids from Salt Middle School, which is Mob's school. They live in Seasoning City, by the way. That's the bit.
Man, something by one doesn't have a creative naming structure for towns or locations. Wow.
Never would have guessed.
Never would have guessed. But we do see the aftermath of his beating up of the Salt Middle School delinquents, including an
Somebody's in a crater in a wall.
Yeah, it's your classic shonen. Oh, so this is the power of the next big bad we have to fight. Meanwhile, Reigen is using his immense psychic powers to Photoshop out a ghost in a picture.
Love that bit so much.
Me too.
Oops, I deleted one of their eyebrows. Where's the undo key?
Reigen's signature move, graphic purification. Everything he does is his signature move.
Look, sometimes you just got multiple signature moves.
No one yells at Goku when he has like 17 signature moves that he's stolen from other people.
One of my favorite bits is that Reigen will always yell the weird like psychic name for whatever completely mundane thing he's doing. Even if he is objectively alone, as he is in this scenario, Mob walks in while he's midway through his photoshopping. So he yelled, graphic purification! Just
to nobody.
To nobody. Yeah, that's what we call commitment to the bit.
You know what? It's one of those cases where you wonder how deep into their own the con men are.
Hey, Master Reigen, what should I do about this weird ghost here? Looks like it's too weak for me to even notice it, so I think you're good. I love how Dimple is like, oh, this guy's a total fraud. What do you mean I'm weak?
The best part is, Reigen's technically not wrong. Dimple is very weak in that moment.
Indeed, too weak to be a threat.
But after that bit, we skip back to the Salt Middle School delinquent crew, and they decide that if they had the help of the Body Improvement Club, they'd be able to... The Body Improvement Club doesn't care, which honestly reasonable.
Why would they? They're not here for violence. They're here to get swole.
Getting swole is not for violence. We're not barbarians.
Meanwhile, Masato, the journalism club girl, is trying to get the scoop on Mob. Ritsu is being very unhelpful, not giving her an interview on this, or not helping her set up an interview with Mob. And she's like, my brother really doesn't like showing off his powers, so I'm not going to do something that'll make him uncomfortable and give you any information. So, yeah, have a good day. Good luck.
Yeah, I really like that scene for him, because it really does go to show that, like, you know, like, there's a part of him that's a bit spooked by how powerful Mob is, but like their relationship is such a good one.
He cares about his brother, yeah.
He really cares about Mob. You know, like, especially I think the thing that irritated him the most was like, you know, like, you're going behind my brother's back to me. Like, I'm not going to do that to him. You know, if you're really curious, talk to him, and if he tells you he doesn't want to talk about it, leave him alone. Like, he's very mature about it.
So yeah, big brother, why don't you use your powers more? Is there something you can't get with them? Muscles. What the hell is he talking about?
I wonder if can you get muscles with psychic powers?
I mean, we see in the upcoming fight that someone does use psychic powers for physical violence, but it does not make him swole.
Yeah, because I mean, like, could you like psychic your weights heavier?
You can also just use heavier weights. Like,
yeah, that doesn't really help, does it? Yeah, no, okay.
It's like my criticism about most superpowers. I'm like, yeah, but you could also just do a thing. Like,
but the Body Improvement Club objectively refuses the gang's request for assistance in their crusade. One of my favorite panels is Chief Musashi picking up one of the delinquents by the head and lifting him with one arm, saying, "We are against violence," as he's doing something objectively rather violent and terrifying.
Well, he is showing that we are against violence, but I am very capable of it. So do the thing I'm asking before you make me do something I don't want to.
Well, as we see at the end of many of the chapters going forward, we have the members of the Body Improvement Club with a little stat block. And there are two consistent stats of muscles and IQ. The muscles is always maxed out. The IQ is usually rather low. The other three stats are nonsense, such as hair quality, love of dogs, and vision. I think someone else has a stat of Brussels sprouts, and I don't know what that's. I don't know what's up with that.
My favorite stat is being questioned by the police, and that guy had it at max.
Yeah, the love of dogs stat is almost but not quite as high as it should be. If that stat is not maxed, then we are not going to vibe.
The Salt Gang isn't ready to give up on their plans quite yet, so they decide to engineer a hostage situation. They do this by giving a fake letter to Mob, which is a forged love letter to have him go to a location, and then they send a call-out letter to the Black Vinegar Gang, and then they send a hostage note to the Body Improvement Club, and somehow this works despite all of the spelling and grammar being atrocious.
The love letter believes with something to the effect of, "Hello, I am a girl." And Dimple is there on Mob's shoulder like, dude, you know this is fake, right?
But what if it's not?
It would be rude to make this girl wait if it is true.
Girls can do this. This isn't
But
a love
it's
note,
not.
buddy.
Yeah.
It could be.
They don't even spell your name right. They call you Kageyama instead of Kageyama.
Mom, stop. Mom, you said there's only one girl you care about, and this clearly isn't her. But on the other hand,
Middle schooler.
Yep. And I love the one to the Black Vinegar Gang. We just got called out by this letter of CHALI. That's not how challenge is spelled. Anyway, it was definitely those assholes over at Salt Middle School. Did they call us ass whips? What does that mean? I think they meant ass wipes.
Yeah, because there's always at least one thing that is
Horribly misspelled.
so horribly misspelled it requires translation.
That's my favorite trope in Japanese media is the middle school gangs are like so hardcore, and then eventually they're like, "Hey, I gotta quit the gang. I'm going to a high school." What, buddy? You're already doing crimes, like.
Yeah, you're already a crime guy. Are you really gonna go straight and go to high school then?
My old man wants me to run the convenience store instead of going to high school. Again, you were just doing crimes. You curb stomped that guy.
It's fine. No one ever faces punishment for crimes in Japan, and even if we do, we'll frame another guy. Haven't you played Persona 5?
When you played Phoenix Wright, we always just blame the person who finds the body.
Boss, are you sure that Kageyama's gonna actually show up for this? I mean, will the letter convince him? No, he'll come. I drew little hearts on it and made sure to write, "I'm a girl." There's no way that's going to work. He won't be fooled by this. And yet Mob was fooled. The poor kid. Like how Dimple was like, Dimple's wiping his eyes like he was crying from laughing.
Mob standards are that of an 8th grade boy. The gender I am attracted to and is interested in me. Good. That's all I need.
You're meeting all my standards.
But they hid the ransom note of having Mob under the dumbbells, which I feel is serendipitous in some way. There's a joke here somewhere.
There are a lot of dumbbells involved in this whole plot line, aren't there?
Mm-hmm. But the Body Improvement Club becomes 100% pumped as they go full freaking JoJo. It's such a good page.
Yeah, they do Pillar Men out a lot, don't they?
They're looking like the freaking Pillar Men. Like, we're going to that middle school. We're getting Kageyama back. All so menacing for a bunch of middle schoolers.
Yeah, the Body Improvement Club, they care about their members.
They do, and they are rather powerful. Meanwhile, Mob has been captured.
He doesn't seem to care.
You know, Mom, you could just use your powers to get out of here, right? No, it's not good to use your powers on people. But, like, what if they start to hurt you? I'll just defend myself, but I won't attack them. But you're stuck. That'll be fine.
They'll get bored eventually.
And fine it does end up being, because the Body Improvement Club shows up and rinses the entire gang, looking like the final bosses of a JRPG, walking in with a storm on their heels. Like, I know part of it is like creative artistic license, but there is an actual like storm brewing, and it looks like they've brought it with them.
Honestly, given this universe, I would not put it past them.
Yeah,
Their muscles can summon storms.
They're so buff, the lightning follows them.
Pretty sure that's how it works in Dragon Ball.
I mean, yeah. I've seen the Super Saiyan transformation sequence.
It destroyed a planet.
Yeah.
That's the power of the Body Improvement Club.
Unfortunately, as we've established, Earth must be like 10 times stronger than Namek, though, because it isn't destroyed.
And Body Improvement Club versus Goku.
We gotta send the Body Improvement Club to Namek.
They'd handle Frieza lickety-split. I like how the Black Vinegar Gang realizes that Mob was the booby trap. And it's like, somehow this incredibly brain-dead plan, implemented in the sloppiest way imaginable, worked flawlessly. The only thing that stopped them from getting what they wanted is that the final boss they wanted to defeat was too strong even for the Body Improvement Club.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. The regular delinquents that had orchestrated this entire nonsensical parade, they were fine against the other delinquents. They were winning. It was when the not Reigen psychic popped up.
It's when he showed up that everything started to go downhill. And as it happened once, now it happens again.
This is where we delve a little bit more into his character and get the whole, like, specific, like, he has a god complex thing, where he's talking about how you commoners are beneath me, blah, blah, blah. You know, obvious metaphor is obvious.
I am a specially blessed person. I have total authority over my life. And now that you have beaten up my lackeys, you have slung mud in my face to a degree, so I must punish you. It's like, okay, buddy, whatever you say. But he is actually effective and does defeat the Body Improvement Club rather effectively, using his psychic powers to blast them all around and throw them through walls and stuff, which admittedly they tank it quite admirably. But they are not able to land a hit on this terrible villain.
And that just leaves Mob tied up in the chair.
And I love it. It's like, wait a minute. I didn't even sense that guy. He's got such little presence I didn't know he was here. Who are you? I'm Kageyama. I'm with the Body Improvement Club. Okay, so I have to destroy you too then. Oh no, you're not going to be able to do that. Also, you really shouldn't use your powers on people. As Mob is standing up, unwinding the rope with his mind powers, proving he was never trapped in the first place.
You could literally just get up and walk out anytime you wanted, because Mob doesn't care.
I love it so much. Mob is great.
At this point, someone else with powers
has appeared before Hanazawa.
And challenged literally every part of his entire 8th grade worldview of being a special and unique god amongst men. So he reacts to it how you expect.
Look, it had to happen eventually. It's better that he's getting through this now, honestly.
Debatable.
I don't want to know what this punk would have looked like in high school.
But yeah, he proceeds to try to. At first, he just wants Mob to fight back because he wants to. It's like it's fine if other people have psychic powers as long as I'm the strongest. But Mob refuses to fight back, and nothing that Hanazawa does gets Mob to even care.
Yeah,
which is worse.
He does not even flinch. Mob abjectly refuses to use his powers on another human, so he is only defending himself. One of my favorite bits here is that Shigeo is fulfilling the Brock quota of being the guy on the sideline explaining things, saying that supernatural attacks against this kid are pointless. He's shrouded by a ridiculously dense membrane of power that protects him, even in his sleep. I've tried to possess him dozens of times, but it's like a syringe against a block of concrete. It's like, okay, Dimple.
That's a metaphor.
Glad to know you were still being the worst. It's just you were so ineffective, the manga didn't even bother to show us. Again, so weak and pathetic, he can't even be seen. We are all Reigen in this sense.
Yeah.
I also love how he, Hanazawa does his, like, super cool psychic power jump away move, and Mob's just like, yeah, you kind of look like you're just doing a wire fu thing. It's pretty lame. You should really up your special effects.
Hanazawa also turns his tie into a sword, I guess.
Yeah, because magic. I don't know.
Whatever.
But yeah, as the fight keeps going on and Mob is continually nonplussed by everything that Hanazawa does, he gets progressively more and more stabby to the point where he just gets a knife and yeets it at Mob. And now we get the distinguishing feature between Hanazawa and Reigen.
Well, the thing that drives him to this, murderous rage is that Mob. I don't know if Mob is actually saying this or if he's just remembering it, but he remembers an important lesson that he learned. You have special powers. That doesn't make you a special person. Everyone has something that makes them special. That doesn't make them better people than anyone else. It's just like a knife. If you have one, you have to be mindful of how you use it. So that's why you don't use your powers on people. I'm glad we had this talk and you learned this lesson. You're right, Master Reigen. I'm glad we learned that. And Dimple, the fact that Reigen said that kind of sours it, don't you think?
But again, this is actually a thing I really like about it, because that one scene with Reigen that made him so human, it wasn't just one scene. He's like, it's shown by this and a third scene that happens later that like this is a normal pattern of behavior for Reigen. Just as much as he is inherently a con man, he's also inherently actually trying to help Mob out with the legitimately heavy burden of his shockingly powerful psychic powers.
Makes Reigen a very likable character, despite how objectively unlikable he is.
But yeah, the knife metaphor is lost on Hanazawa because using knives, okay, I'll use a knife on a people, and throws a knife at Mob, which immediately gets deflected.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, one important thing does happen. I say important, but Dimple says, well, if you won't fight to defend yourself, Mob, I will, as he activates his full power form. I'll teach this punk a lesson, no problem at all, poof.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if Dimple is actually dead this time, because Mob certainly seems to think so.
I love Dimple just dying. It's so funny.
It's incredibly funny.
Because they set up his death to be like, oh, Mob's gonna go into rage mode again. And you have like the exact same panel structure as you would, except each time it's like, Mob, 50%. Oh no, I guess Dimple's dead. 50%. He really is gone. 50%. Next page. Oh, well, I guess I really don't care. 50%.
Such a good gag. I have seen far enough in the anime to know the answer to that if y'all want spoilers.
No, I'm gonna assume he's dead.
Okay.
It's funnier that way.
It is objectively funnier that way.
There's also the element of, as much as it's one of the best gags in that moment, it doesn't come up until later, but that does actually get played a little bit for drama as well, which again is one of the things that one is really good at. Like, at the end of the day, Mob doesn't care about Dimple. Dimple was really more of an annoyance than anything else. But and like, this is skipping ahead a little bit to the to near the end of the fight, but like, the thing is, that was someone he could have saved if he had just used his power. That was someone who, from Mob's perspective, was killed that didn't have to die. That kind of stings in its own way, even if he doesn't really care about Dimple in particular. It doesn't take the funny away from the gag of it doesn't increase his explosion percentage at all. You really feel the burden that is upon Mob's shoulders, that is his burden to never use his powers, or is his burden to use his powers in the right way? If it's the latter, then what the hell is the right way? How do I know?
Mhm.
And it really speaks to the inner turmoil and complexity to Mob in a subtle and really well crafted way.
Yeah. And that's not the only, character exploration aspect of this fight, as Hanazawa's become increasingly more and more violent and, flinging knives around.
Getting a bunch of
Wh-
his hair chopped off, which is the thing that has been being built to this entire time.
yeah. Shaves the top of his head right off. He's like, I look like a disgraced samurai. I mean, yeah, kind of.
You kind of act like one. I'm not gonna lie.
Mob again cannot be arse in a not a single bit. He's just like, those you'll hurt someone with those knives. Oh, okay, go for it. Whatever, your hairstyle.
Yeah, eventually, Hanazawa accepts that he does not have the psychic capacity to match with Mob, and they are basically both defeated because Hanazawa runs up and starts by hand choking Mob, which
Mhm.
is a
A
with
pure,
intention very uncomfortable scene.
yeah. It's a purely physical attack that Mob can't use his psychic powers to defend against, because then he would be using his powers against a person.
But now
And
Mob's suddenly totally fine with like, okay, well, he's choking me. Well, I can at least fight back, and then proceeds to punch him. My favorite reaction is Terror just going like, seriously? That was you punching me? What is this nonsense? Use your superpowers.
aren't you in the body improvement club? I just started. And Mob is knocked unconscious by this. And for a minute, Terror almost seems like legitimately remorseful. Like,
He's concerned that he has killed this person, which is obviously not something he's done before. I mean, Mob is the main character. His name is in the title. He's not
he's not dead.
dying in the like beginning of volume 3, but like there's the aspect of you get from Hanazawa's perspective. He's like, no, he's just unconscious. This is fine. I've not done anything permanent. This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding.
Yeah, but actually, before the choking occurs, there is a bit that I wanted to talk about, which is, Mob's philosophical argument that is the thing that basically entirely unmakes Hanazawa. As Hanazawa's got this god complex. He's the main character. He even describes himself as the main character of the world. And Mob says, I think the reason you hate me so much is you feel hatred for your own kind, because I'm just a schlub. I don't have many friends. I don't stand out. I'm not going to leave anything that'll be remembered. Nobody pays me any attention. So I'm just a guy. And that's, if you took away my powers, I'm still just a guy. So are you.
If you just take away everyone's advantages, we're all equal.
Because that's not really what Mob is saying. Mob is kind of contented with the fact that he's not like he has something that he wants, but by and large, he's contented with the fact that he's a nobody. And what he's saying to Hanazawa is, if you took away my powers, nothing would change in my life. But you have built your everything on this one thing. The reason why you want me to fight you so bad, the reason you want to beat me so bad is to prove that you're different from me, because deep down if you took away your own powers, you would be the way I am now.
The lesson is supposed to be, don't build your entire personality on one thing, because if that breaks, you're not in a great spot, and it's unhealthy and going to make you kind of an asshole. Mob has also not entirely learned the lesson of, maybe you should not just be the background character. You have your own wants and needs. Don't just coast.
There's a happy middle ground that you can in fact find, and indeed should.
But in the midst of, blacking out from being choked, Mob has a flashback where he and Ritsu were being bullied by some high schoolers, and Ritsu was getting beat up. Mob got thrown into a wall and knocked his head. He closed his eyes, and when he next opened them, the high schoolers were bloodied and broken on the ground, and so was Ritsu.
And one thing that I think is an important bit of imagery is one of the high schoolers was in the same position that we saw Hanazawa put one of the Salt Middle School delinquents in. The implication from Mob's perspective is very obvious. There was a time when, even if he wasn't fully conscious for it, he was just like this guy trying to choke him to death. That's not great. Honestly, maybe this whole loathing of someone who's a lot more like you than you want to admit goes both ways. Mob, in a similar way as to the flashback, sort of just reflexively uses his powers and
Well, you say Mob. The manga is not so sure, as he's not at 100%. He's at question mark percent. He's not talking. His eyes are blank. His power is unstoppable. And the manga even says, like, from Hanazawa's perspective, he saw that something had awakened within Mob. He's not sure that it's something that he really thinks he should not have poked this bear. Especially as to further complete his humiliation, the backlash of Mob's psychic powers strips him naked. So now he is a naked, disgraced samurai.
Black Vinegar Middle School building is obliterated, and all of the people get like whisked away into the sky, I think.
Yeah, they're all sent up into the sky. Hanazawa's like, I've finally gotten you to use your powers, didn't I? Oh, no, wait, he's still unconscious. So he's not doing this. His power is doing it on reflex? So, wait, that shouldn't be possible. What did I wake up? And it's such a menacing panel in this funny, haha, gagged manga.
When Mob does come to, however, there's a bit I like that the narration mentions that both of them were defeated in the worst possible way, and Mob is able to, with his powers, basically put the school back together and bring everybody back down to the ground without splatting.
Yeah, he Humpty Dumpty's the school back together.
After this, like, we get a sort of like fluid transition into Reigen talking to Mob about it, and I forget exactly how it transitions, but he also has a conversation with his brother about the last time this sort of thing happened, and both of them convey to him a very interesting perspective. Like Reigen in particular is very much focused on the you fixed the school, cool, you saved the day, and like he very actively focuses on like the good things that happened. And then the scene with Ritsu, he immediately recognizes that Mob is in a state because he's in a state. He asks his brother what's wrong, and Mob doesn't want to talk about it at first, but eventually he asks what had happened that day that he blacked out. And boy, what an interesting scene that really makes you want to, keep reading, because Ritsu says that when I got hurt, it wasn't because of you. The bullies hit me first, and then you saved me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's saying that to be nice or if it's true.
He specifically said, "You didn't hurt me," and then proceeds to clarify once Mob leaves the room, "I wasn't hurt by Mob."
Oh, yeah.
Because he's implying what Mob became was not him.
That
was my reading. I thought that was really clear.
Yeah, no, that's a fair read.
Ritsu has his own little fiction that he tells for the sake of his brother that he cares about. But yeah, that was also my read, that it's like, it wasn't Mob that did that. It was something else. The thing that Hanazawa woke up.
It was the Psycho 100.
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't see that far in the anime.
I don't think that the anime got that far, because I don't think it has adapted the entire manga, though I don't know that.
Me neither. But I want to go rewatch the anime now because goddamn, dude, did I love that anime and I really enjoyed this manga. Which is a good way to dovetail into the discussion because that is the end of our reading. So, favorite character. I mean, if we're just talking about this reading, it's obviously Mob because like he's the boy. He's such an entertaining character. He has all of the charm of Saitama in so many unique and interesting ways. Even if you did not have the prior experience of One Punch Man, Mob holds up as a very fun and entertaining protagonist, and a very thought-provoking one, especially with the final battle against Hanazawa. Despite seeming like he's this bland, average dude, he has a lot of pathos that he feels very strongly about, and is fun to engage within as a reader. But overall, I gotta say Reigen. With my knowledge of what happens later, definitely Reigen. Matt, how about you?
Let's see, favorite character. I feel obligated to say Mob because he's really the only character we have in our reading. But the interstitial like bonus chapters really had Reigen shine, so I think I'll say him as like a side favorite. I really enjoyed the fake spiritual detective agency, and I really missed it because the two main arcs we read were not about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But like the little bonus chapters we got, I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah,
so, Reigen, I guess I ended up saying.
Yep, Reigen it is. And Jacob.
Yeah, the thing about it is, it's very much that, especially at this point, because I could very much see, for example, the Body Improvement Club could get a lot more depth. I could see Hanazawa becoming more of a character, being a recurring character. But like Reigen and Mob are the ones who definitely stand out like the most out of the cast. A lot of the other characters, at least thus far, have really just been joke fodder. I'm going to fall on the side of Mob, though. I love the way that Reigen is characterized. It actually, in some ways, has similarities to our previous reading where I mentioned it's a bold move to set up a character in a certain way and hope that your audience will stick around long enough to see that there's, more to it. It's not quite as extreme a case, especially because this is actually a good example of the trigger getting pulled a lot sooner.
Also a gag manga, so even if he was just a skeezy boss, I think people would still accept that character because he's funny.
There's that layer to it, so like that's why I say it's like it's shades of a similar idea. Like, because that's the thing, it's one of those ones where, like despite how skeezy Reigen is, I really do get the impression that like in the dark, he's actually a good person. At least when it comes to the serious stuff. It's like if it's something like money, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. But if it's something actually serious, like if it's something like life and death, I honestly, I'd trust him. I see him as being a wonderfully good person in that sense.
Short of his occupation, he's really not that skeezy.
Like if he found a wallet on the ground or something, it's like I don't know 100% what he'd do with it. If the wallet like had like medicine in it or something, I would see him moving hell or high water to get it back to the person so they'd be healthy. It might be missing a $5 bill or something or whatever the yen equivalent of, but he'd do that, and like I really like him for that. But we delved more into Mob's character. I'm very much looking forward to see where Reigen goes. Mob is definitely, because like again, like the idea of like his philosophy and like gag manga character, he does not have to be deep, but he has such depth to him. He's an 8th grader. He would naturally be fairly surface level, and to a large extent he is. He's written very genuinely as an 8th grader, and yet at the same time his problems feel very real world despite how fantastical they are. And it's just such a well and carefully crafted character to maintain the funny, but actually have something, substantive to him. It's a good way of keeping, like a more broad interest in a gag series than just the jokes, that there's like some character depth to explore. So it's like, I'm sticking around for the funny. That's like even if that were to get old, which it certainly didn't in our reading, but like even if that were to get old, to some extent I hate to bring up One Punch Man again, but sort of like One Punch Man, the reason why that maintains compelling despite the fact that both of these series really only have one joke is because there's so much more to it than just the joke, you know? And
Mhm.
it tells that joke in so many different clever ways, but it keeps going and it remains compelling because of that.
Absolutely. And I think that does answer the question of would you continue reading for Jake rather handily.
Yeah, yeah.
How about you, Matt?
No, I didn't really like this. I didn't think the joke was funny enough to last as long as it did. I feel like one element I really liked from One Punch Man that just was really missing here was like the absurd humor of like how detailed action panel could be. Which fair, it's not the same artist, so don't expect that. But like
Yeah.
if that's what I'm enjoying, like also has that like style of like gag manga I really don't enjoy, which is a whole bunch of characters talking really quickly at each other, going like, "Man, what a ridiculous situation we're in. We're in such a ridiculous situation." And I'm like, I that does happen in One Punch Man, but it feels like it happens so less frequently in that. Or at the very
Mhm.
least, it's one character who's doing it, which is normally Saitama, and he's kind of stonewalled by a bunch of serious people. Whereas in this, it's a whole bunch of like comedy parts bouncing off each other. So I just got tired of this series by the end.
Yeah. I mean, fair. It is a different kind of flavor to the other one, and I mean, it should be. They're different series.
Yeah. And that is sort of like going into the thing is obviously like Sam and I connected a little bit more with the sort of character drama aspect of it. You know, if that doesn't land, then
It doesn't land.
it
Simple
doesn't
as.
land. So the gag has to carry it. And if it's not your sense of humor, then Bob's your uncle.
Yep. For me, I don't know if I would continue reading the manga, but this definitely makes me want to go back and rewatch the anime and keep going beyond where I left off. Because I went back and rewatched some of the clips relevant to what we read, and goddamn, the anime is beautiful. Like, one's art style goes a long way towards serving the joke for my purposes, but the anime just looks so freaking good, and it allows for visual spectacle, just pure spectacle, to really spice up one's excellent writing. So I don't know if I'd keep reading the manga, but I'm definitely going to go back and watch more of the anime. And that brings us to the end. So thank you once again, everyone, for listening to the Over Manga Cast. As always, you can catch us on all of your social medias, where we are at Over Manga Cast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You can also catch our episodes on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe.
And as always, we appreciate reviews in any and all forms, but if we could get them on iTunes or, anything, really. Send us an email, overmangacast@gmail.com.
And go to overmangacast.com.
Yeah, you can send us comments on that too.
Let us know what you want us to read. And make sure to tune in next week, where we've been short of Jay a few episodes. She'll be back next week, I believe.
We need something lewd and degenerate to get her out of the woodworks.
Yeah, well, thankfully, next week is episode 69, so we're reading Monster Masume.
Yeah, that was kind of inevitable, wasn't it? Not complaining, mind you, but yeah.
So get ready for that as we dive through chapters 1 through 17.
Indeed, indeed. Catch you next week, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.